Welcome to Straight Shot Politics. Each episode will bring you in-depth discussion with experts, community leaders, and analysts who will share their insights, experiences, and predictions. From local elections to global diplomacy, we'll provide you with the tools and perspectives you'll need to navigate today's real-world landscape.
Welcome to Straight Shot Politics. I am Lisa Chafee.
And I'm Michael Nash.
Hey, Mike, on August 3rd, we had the pleasure of attending the Union County Republican Party annual Summer Farm Fest.
We did. It was a great success, and we had an awesome time meeting our elected officials, such as Secretary of State Frank LaRose,
and Treasurer Robert Sprague,
Auditor Keith Faber, and two, not one, but two Supreme Court Justices, Pat Fischer and Dan Hawkins.
I love both of them.
These
Wonderful
guys are
men.
great. Yes.
We also spoke with Senate President Rob McCauley and our illustrious Attorney General Dave Yost and his incredibly talented wife, Darlene.
I love Dave and Darlene. They are great folks. Really enjoyed spending time with them.
Yes, me too. This will be one of several episodes. We had a great time interviewing our guests, and we hope you enjoy listening. Joining us now at the table from the 5th District Court of Appeals is Judge Andrew King, who is running for Supreme Court of Ohio. Sir, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
So give us a little bit of background, your history.
Well, so as you mentioned, I'm on the Court of Appeals, so I don't know if everybody knows what the Court of Appeals is, but if you're familiar with TV, right, everybody thinks the trial, they go in, there's jury, the judge sitting there, witnesses. Well, after all that's all said and done, if you think there was a mistake that happened, you can come to the Court of Appeals. So we have 15 counties where if you feel like a mistake happened below, you can come to us. We sit in a group of 3, and then we decide, yeah, hey, there was a mistake, or nope, there was no mistake. So anything and everything that can happen in the state of Ohio in the courts come to us. So we see it all, everything from property disputes to felonies to divorces, you name it, we see it. So that's sort of what we do at the court.
And where did you get your law degree?
I'm a Capital. So I was a night student, and I was married, had my first kid, got admitted to Capital, and worked during the day and went to school at night. So stayed here locally and was a night student.
That's a very hard work, being a young couple with kids and going to school. So I commend you for that. That's dedication right there. So
very stressful.
Yes, very stressful. He's speaking from experience too on that one. So did you defense attorney, prosecutor's office? What's your?
I've actually had a lot of background, a broad background. So I spent over 5 years at the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. I was also a state public defender, so I've done both sides of it. I've also done federal criminal defense. And I also worked for Secretary LaRose and Dave Yost and, a local government that did water and sewer. So I've sort of had it all over the board and a little bit of private stuff thrown in there. So that's kind of the broad strokes.
Right. So tell us why you want to be on the Supreme Court.
Well, I think first and foremost, we want conservatives on the Ohio Supreme Court. I think we've seen, not only in Ohio, but nationwide, when judges think that, they get to run military, they get to run Congress, they get to decide things that are outside of what judges should do. So having good constitutional conservative judges, I think, are vitally important. And, that's what I would bring. And I think also, I mentioned it, being a prosecutor, just look at what's happened here in the last week in Ohio. Somewhere along the line, this idea that public safety is optional.
Right.
I don't know why this has ever become an idea or a thing that,
That's horrific. Yeah, what happened recently was horrible.
Yeah, so yeah. Being a prosecutor, I've sat across the table from victims and, tried some cases and sat through grand jury. I think that's an experience that's important to bring to the court. We have 3 folks on there that have done felony prosecutions in the past, and we'd have a majority. And I think in today's day and age, again, you would think you don't have to say that kind of stuff, but I think we need that.
There's a lot of crazy things going on. You wouldn't think that, we have to, as parents, ask for our rights to be protected in schools, but yet this is the world we live in. Jim, you have a question?
I believe this all started in 2020. The decline of public safety started back in 2020. I won't hold any punches. Everyone wants to call it riots. It was a debacle upon society at that point in time. And that's where no one got prosecuted.
Right.
Franklin County alone, hundreds and thousands of people was let loose. We had a congresswoman swing on police officers, and nothing happened. So it just gives the green light.
Yeah.
We need strong Supreme Court judges and appeal judges.
And we need judges who are not going to legislate from the bench, which I assume.
Yes.
I'm going to assume you are devout constitutionalists.
I mean, absolutely, without question. I mean, it's and going back to my earlier point. I mean, we've seen the bitter fruits of that. I mean, I hate to even call it a fruit. I don't want to get like a bitter bit of broccoli. I mean, it's just been bad when judges think from everything from bail to whatever that they can legislate from the bench. I mean, it's not how our system's designed at all.
So there's one seat open, correct?
That is right.
And you've got 4 opponents in the primary. Why should we vote for you?
Well, I mean, a couple of things I already said. I mean, having been a prosecutor, being a constitutional conservative and believing in that. And then, what I think is a little bit different about my background is I'm the first person in my family to have sort of graduated college normally. I'm the first person to go to law school. My father was a college or high school dropout. My mom was a college dropout. I mean, I don't come from any privilege or background or whatever. I'm just somebody like everybody else in this state. I mean, we as Republicans have become the blue jeans working class party, and that's what I come from.
So you can relate to the average Joe the plumber.
I mean,
and those life experiences. And I think that's vitally important. I think it is important, no matter what kind of case it is, that the judge be able to empathize and relate to what's going on. Not that it excuses any bad behavior, but it gives you a different perspective.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think growing up here in Ohio my whole life, I mean, my parents were from Ohio. They were deputy sheriffs at one point. I mean, you understand what it is to be in Ohio and what it means to live in a state like this and have neighbors that think and believe the things that you believe. And I think all too often, and again, particularly I think we've seen that in Washington when people from Ivy League schools or whatever come in and think that this, because I went to whatever school, I can fix this problem better than the average person. So
that's not the way it was set up to be.
Right.
It was set up to be blue collar, people from the field. You go make legislation in Washington, and judges, same way.
Right. So how long have you been on the Court of Appeals?
this is my third year, so my first term.
What has been the highlight of that for you?
The highlight? Oh, I don't think I've been asked that question. So the highlight, one of the things that I guess I didn't expect, and it's not something that I think the public would realize, is that I work with a great bunch of colleagues, and we all come from diverse backgrounds as judges or lawyers or whatever. And, we can disagree on cases, we can come to different conclusions, but, the folks that I serve with and work with, they come from a place of sincerity, wanting to follow the law, wanting to do the right thing. So, even it's been a good collegial experience. So, I mean, that's again, like, I don't know what I expected coming in. I mean, because we're 6 judges, there's 5 Republicans. So, I mean, you don't know what you're going to think, but I mean, we get along pretty well even when we disagree. So
that's good. So your signatures or petitions are due in February, correct?
That is right.
And then we have the primary in May.
That's right.
So you're in campaign mode. If anybody would like to help you with your campaign, how do they get in contact with your team?
See, look at that. You just set me up so beautifully. I don't even have to
I
try to
tried.
It's like
squeeze
she's
it
done
in.
this before.
I know.
It's just crazy.
Well, I'm on social media, so you can find me on X. I think it's A King Ohio. I'm on the Twitter or Facebook threads.
Yep.
So I think it's like Vote Andrew King. send me an email, voteandrewking@gmail.com. Got a website, voteandrewking.com. So any of those, you're welcome to reach out. So
Here's a question I have for you. When I first started paying attention to the judicial races, I really wanted to find out, how do these judges, and especially at the local level where we don't see an R or a D beside their names, how do we find out the kind of rulings, the cases that you've ruled upon, so we can, there's a history there.
Sure.
Actions speak louder than words, right? And we see, at the National Supreme Court, cases that they talked about, they've ruled on. If someone wants to know more about what you've done, is there some place they can go to see the results of your work?
I'm just looking at a couple of sites here saying there's on the bench. It talks about some of the death penalty cases you've been on before, which has to be difficult.
they were.
Death penalty, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's right now in
Right.
Ohio on hold, right? Didn't DeWine suspend all death penalty,
I believe
executions?
so. I mean, it's been sort of a off again, on again situation since going back to the Kasich administration. So, I mean, I believe so. I mean, to sort of answer your question, where you started, I think, is the difficulty. Is at a trial court level, it's hard. There's so many cases moving through. There's a lot of things that get pled out, whether criminally or civilly. So that's a little tougher, I think. You have to sort of maybe know attorneys, or if your local bar association does like reviews, like Stark County Bar Association would review the candidates and say they're qualified or not qualified or whatever. So, I mean, that's something. For Court of Appeals, I mean, you can look at our written work. I mean,
Right.
we write opinions. I think I've written, over 200 and some opinions. So, I mean, you can pull them up to sort of see. And I try to write it. Like, if my mom picked it up, you could explain it. I mean, you can't always do that. Some of it is. So, I mean, with Court of Appeals, you can, I think, get a sense for that. And, I've once or twice had somebody be angry at me because of the way that I ruled. And I explained to them, like, well, maybe that's not how I felt, right? I mean, as judges, we apply the law. And if the legislature says this is how you do it, or the system says, hey, you have to give deference to the jury or deference to the judge, you can't just substitute your own views for the jury's. Sometimes we got to uphold things that maybe personally we'd like, we wouldn't want to do that.
And that's important to know, everybody. That's important to know. They're not going to apply their personal feelings. At least, Andrew isn't going to apply his personal feelings to legislate from the bench. And we appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah,
I mean, the
thank
people,
you.
I think, expect fairness, right? You're going to show up and get a fair shake, and you don't want a predetermined outcome.
Absolutely.
Well, my hat's off to you for being able to read the Ohio Revised Code and understand it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
As one, I'm a township trustee.
okay.
So I'm dependent upon Ohio Revised Code and ensuring that we do right by Ohio law. And sometimes you read it, there's three of us, we come up with three different opinions. And that's important to know. Going back to what's happening in cities right now is primarily caused by what Lisa, you said about getting involved in judicial legislative politics.
Yeah.
There's a lot of legislation being done from the bench, and it's a fresher
Breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
Breath of fresh air.
Promise you, I have not been drinking today. I have not.
What's that jug over there?
You haven't been drinking?
I have not, but it's fresh air to hear that it's not your opinion. You look at the law and interpret that. It's not you're making your own rules.
Well, and I appreciate that. And, the sad part about it, sort of like with the public safety, I mean, the American way of the judiciary, I mean, judges should be all doing the same thing. We should be honoring separation of powers. We should be letting the legislature legislate. We should be letting judges and juries make decisions at the trial level. But all too often, folks think that they know better and want to jump in and substitute their own judgment. And it's wrong on any side. There's one side that does it almost all the time.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
Well, and then you have the media portraying one side of things, and if it doesn't fit, the story doesn't fit their narrative, like what we've seen in Cincinnati in the last week, they don't want to talk about it.
Sure.
So, everybody, again, Judge Andrew King, 5th District Court of Appeals, is a candidate for the Supreme Court of Ohio. follow him on Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to help him with this campaign, reach out to him. Judge, thank you for sitting down and chatting with us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, my two co-hosts, I'm very excited. Supreme Court Justice Fischer has sat down with us. Sir, how are you?
Good day. Very nice out.
Yeah, it's beautiful weather. We couldn't ask for better weather. Last year this time we were sweating buckets, so today it's pretty nice. So
it's much more comfortable this year for sure.
Lisa, I believe the last time we were with the Justice was at the Freedom Rally in
I believe
Plain
so,
City,
yes.
and the weather was, the wind was blowing 45 miles an hour, I believe.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. It was great. So, sir, how long have you been on the Supreme Court of Ohio?
January 1 of 2017.
Wow. Thinking back that far, that's great.
Yeah. Prior to that, just give us a brief background.
Before that, I was for 6 years, I was on the Court of Appeals in Cincinnati. And before that, for 25, 30 years, I was a practicing attorney. Only my practice was a little different because it was all around the country. I had like a million frequent flyer points, tried cases in states like California, Texas, obviously as well as Ohio, but I was all over the place. So that was it.
When I first met you a few years back, one of the questions I asked you was, what made you become a lawyer?
Yeah.
And you told me a wonderful story. Share that with our listeners.
Well, there were two, I don't know which one I told you, but there was two events that kind of went together. One was my brother got wrongfully picked up or stopped for DUI, and I stood outside the door as witnesses. Unlike on TV, the witnesses really have to stay out of the courtroom. And they opened the big wooden doors, and I walked up the red carpet, and I sat down, and I testified that he wasn't drunk and that I knew that. And I could have asked better questions than the lawyers did, so I figured I could be a lawyer. And the judge said, how do you know he wasn't drunk? I said, we're playing tough trivia. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, I asked him who the first vice president of Lincoln was. Everybody knows the second because Andrew Johnson became president. What did he say? Judge asked. And he said, Hannibal Hamlin of Maine. And I said, that's correct. He goes, not guilty. And that was one. The other one was I was standing at a corner in front of a Catholic church after a Catholic youth organization meeting, talking. I was in the high school. I was 15 and talking to these teenage girls, as teenage boys are wont to do. And 3 cop cars, 6 cops, guns drawn, came and threw me up against the wall and started patting me down. And I kept telling the sergeant, I said, I was at a CYO meeting, when the shooting occurred. So they brought up the guy who had been shot at, the shooter had missed. And it was a guy, as soon as he came out of the car, I knew him. He goes, his name is Bill Winches. He goes, that's Pat Fischer. He wouldn't hurt a fly. And so from then on, I decided to become a lawyer.
That's fun. So you've been on the Supreme Court in one seat.
Yeah.
And you're, I hate to use this word, aged out of that seat, correct?
Yes. Well, when my term's over.
When your term's over. The age limit is what, 70? 70. But you're running for the seat that's being vacated by the
Justice Bruner.
Justice Bruner.
We hope.
So, I don't know if you pay much attention to social media.
Not really.
But there's a lot of controversy on why you're doing this. So, explain to us the logistics of it. And
okay. No, I will. The first thing is there's some email or something out there that Governor DeWine talked me into doing this.
Yes, that's the rumor.
As he said in the paper, I saw the Plain Dealer the other day. I've never talked to Mike DeWine on the phone ever, and we've never discussed running for the Supreme Court. I haven't even discussed with him his son running for the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So that never occurred. I'm running because I sit next to Justice Bruner every day at the court. And she has filed, a lot of people don't know this, a lawsuit up in the Northern District Federal Court. Did you know that?
No.
And the first one, she wanted to get rid of the rule, Judicial Ethical Rule 4.5 that says you can't run for a non-judicial race while you're sitting justice. And Bill O'Neill in 2018 or whatever, we got him out of the court because of that. She amended her complaint. Now she wants to get rid of Rule 4.1 A5 or 6. I forget which is the correct designation. But it's the one that says a judge prior to a case shouldn't be making promises like an event like this about how they're going to rule in a case because they don't know what the facts are yet. And she wants to that not enforced against her. And I, who helped write some of the ethical rules, think that what she's doing is absolutely wrong. And that's, to be blunt, my family doesn't want me to do this, and my financial guy says I'm making a mistake because it's cost me money. I said, but I gave up the money when I left a big law firm and became a judge anyway. So
Okay, so hypothetically speaking,
yeah,
you're in a seat now.
yeah,
If you win the primary and you win the election next November,
yeah,
and you take Justice Bruner's seat,
yes.
then what happens to the seat you're vacating?
Well, it depends. Right now, if the law isn't changed, Governor DeWine would name somebody. And,
Okay.
and on that email I saw they think he's going to name Ron Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why people don't want, like, Ron Lewis. He's really
Yeah, I've met
conservative.
him. He's a nice
pretty
guy.
conservative.
Yeah.
But they could change the law and let Vivek do it, assuming he wins.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing is just baloney.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So now, another hypothetical,
Okay.
worst case scenario, you don't win.
Yeah.
Do you get to finish
Yeah.
your term in that seat? Okay, because a lot of people don't understand how
I'm
all this works.
I'm not giving up a seat.
Right.
I'm running from what's called cover in political parlance. And I was approached about this on Palm Sunday, whatever the Sunday before Easter, or Saturday or Sunday before Easter. And I made 30 or 40 phone calls, and everybody was like, yeah, go, because you can beat Bruner, and the others may or may not be able to.
Right.
Because she's got good name recognition. But I've won twice, both with the R behind my name and without. And so they want me to run because of this other part of this lawsuit. She wants to get the R&D off
Well, of course.
the thing. So
Of course they do. So you've got 4 opponents in a
Yes.
primary, all conservative. Why should voters choose you?
To be a elected Supreme Court justice, you need 2 things. One is electability, and 2 is capability. And I'll take any of them against me capability-wise. In fact, I spoke at Buckeye Boys State in June, and 2 of the American Legion guys that are judges came up to me and thanked me because I write my opinions for them, so that they must have noticed it. They said, yeah, Justice DeWine and you, I can tell that you guys argue about the nuances of conservative law, but he writes for law review, you write for the judge, so the judge understands what he needs to do. And that's my goal. That's one. I'm as capable. I'll take my capability against any of them. Electability, I'm the only one ever endorsed by Donald Trump.
I did not know that.
I don't know that either. That's interesting.
I mean,
That's amazing.
I think I'm electable.
Absolutely.
That works, yeah.
Well, you've already been elected how many times now?
Twice. Once with the R behind my name and once without.
And that's just to the Supreme
that seems
Court.
like
Yeah.
a secret sauce right there. You know?
Well, and I was the top vote getter in 22. I had more votes than Chief Justice Kennedy or more than Justice DeWine or Bruner or any of the others that ran.
Right.
I was the top vote getter by 25,000 votes. I forget the exact number, but
So what's been the highlight of your judicial career?
the highlight, ironically, I wrote a tax case. And it used to be the most cited case is what's important in your career. Nowadays, it's for these young people, it's which gets the most clicks.
No, yeah.
Okay. and I wrote this tax case, and at the end of the first part of our cases, we always say, like, appellant is victorious here, therefore the case is reversed, or the appellee succeeds, and therefore the case is affirmed. This was the Cincinnati Reds against Testa, Joe Testa, who was the tax commissioner at the time. And I quoted Marty Brenneman, who was the Reds radio announcer for 40 years, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Oh.
And so they all look. They all look it up.
There
I mean,
we
you
go.
got to have a little humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a $10,000 use tax case. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote it parallel to actually the Kurt Flood decision that the U.S. Supreme Court, they talked about, did you know that Potter Stewart demanded another red in the list of great players before he'd sign off on the Curt Flood decision?
Oh, wow.
Because they only had Ernie Lombardi. I forget who he added.
So
Wow.
if anybody would like to help you with your campaign, how do they do that?
They call Trevor Vessels,
Okay.
who's my campaign guy, and he'll get them involved and
Is-
whatever they
So,
want to
Do
do.
you have like a website, or do you have? I see that.
No, I haven't done that yet because
Okay.
I do have a Facebook page somewhere that I haven't used.
I mean,
in a
I'm
while.
looking for stuff for you and people written stuff about you, but I don't see much that's actually you talking about you.
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
I'm kind of. I know this sounds weird because the way I've talked, but I'm kind of shy.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Aw.
I'll help you out. So if anybody is interested, they can reach out to the Franklin County Republican Party. Email us at info@GOP. Franklin County.
And Meredith will put them in
Yeah,
touch
and
with
then we'll
somebody.
put you in touch with you. Justice Fisher, thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
very
Yeah,
much.
we better join the song here.
Very
Yeah.
good. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so I'm very excited to have joining us Supreme Court Justice Dan Hawkins. Sir, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
It's so exciting to say that because the last time we spoke to you was during your campaign last
Yeah, I
year.
remember that. That was last year.
Yeah,
It's
so
been that long.
Yep.
and I got
were-
to be at your investiture,
Yeah.
and wow. What and first of all, I'd never been inside the Supreme Court.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's people. If you can go take a tour, if they allow that.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the building with a big hammer outside. Is that
Yeah.
that one?
That's it.
Oh wow, cool! I've drove by
the,
it before.
The architecture in there, the artwork, it is. I was speechless. I just couldn't stop looking at everything. It's so beautiful, but the turnout of people to support you, and I think the most heartwarming part of that whole day was your daughter
Oh, yeah.
speaking. And I even went up to her afterwards. Yeah, she's still in high school when she gave that
Yep.
speech. And just beautiful and eloquent. And I was so excited for
Yeah.
you. How has it been for you since then?
Yeah, I'm blessed. And that day was special, you know, and I mentioned during my investiture that I didn't even really want to do all that. I'm not a big ceremony guy. I'm not in the pomp and circumstance, but somebody, actually was the Chief Justice, Sharon Kennedy, pointed out that, you know, look, it's not just about you. It's about, you know, your family, your friends, all your supporters, people who helped you along the way. And so I'm glad I did it. And it's funny with regards to my daughter, Lena, it was sort of a last-minute thing. About a couple days before the swear-in ceremony, she was asking me about who all is speaking, and I told her, and I made some sort of crack. I said, well, unless you want to speak, and she, without hesitation, said, I'll do it. I said, well, all right, hold on, Lena, big event, a lot of people there, can't get you, you know, once you get nervous and back out. But she said, no, Dad, I want to do it. And it was an amazing moment, really, really proud
It
Papa
was-
moment.
You would have thought she'd been a public speaker for years.
No. So
She
she's
was
gonna.
wonderful.
She's heading into her freshman year at The Ohio State University here in a couple weeks. So
Awesome.
excited to move her in here soon.
Is she going to follow in your footsteps and become a lawyer?
We'll see. Her plan is to study early childhood education.
Okay.
You know, we need good teachers, right?
Yes, we do.
But I still think there's a bit of that bug in her. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. So we were just talking off air a little bit. You just got elected
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
and yet you have to run again when?
Next year, 2026.
Okay. Well, I thought terms were at least 6 years. Explain that to us.
Yeah, no, a lot of confusion about it. So judges in Ohio are elected to 6-year terms. But the seat I ran for last year was an unexpired term. Sharon Kennedy, when she was a justice on the court, she ran and won her election for Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So her term, her old seat was up. So I ran for her old seat.
Okay.
So last year's election was just to finish out the rest of her term.
Okay.
That term is up in 26. So when I run and win again next year in 26, which I expect to do, then I'll have a full 6-year term. But I don't mind. I knew that going into it. You know, I love. I don't see campaigning as work. I love talking to people, being out. This state is just such a big, beautiful state, and I love getting around, taking the family around to different parts of Ohio. Really, really blessed,
All
and I
right.
love
You
doing
hit
it.
all 88 counties, right?
Yeah, all 88, and I don't know how many I hit this year too, but it's been great.
That's wonderful. So walk us through a day in the life of a Supreme Court justice in Ohio. What's that like?
Yeah, I came from the trial court. I was a longtime prosecutor, 13 years, and then I was a trial court judge for 11 years. So the Ohio Supreme Court, it's an appellate court. So we hear arguments every 3 to 4 weeks or so. The rest of that time is reading, writing, researching, working with the staff to not only process the cases we have and get opinions out, but we also deal with a lot of other cases. We have to decide which cases to accept and not accept. So we're doing that constantly. There are emergency type of motions that are filed, especially around election time, or certain emergency actions that the Supreme Court has to deal with. So we're pretty busy. This summer is a little bit quiet so far, getting caught up on some writing and reading before our fall term starts up here at the end of August.
Well, that's got to be very tedious work too.
But it's exciting, because as a trial court judge, you obviously you handle a lot of cases and you impact those individual parties or defendants in front of you. You do have an impact around the community as a whole, but to get to be on the Supreme Court, to serve on the Ohio Supreme Court, knowing that every decision you make impacts all of Ohioans, it's a tremendous honor, and it's something that I still pinch myself going into work every day. I love it.
Well, I get so excited when I see you posting stuff on Facebook, and I do read your posts. So when you hear arguments, is it like what we see on TV where people testify, or is it just you hear from the attorneys? Just the attorneys.
So the Supreme Court, like the United States Supreme Court, we're an appellate court, so we don't hear witnesses, take testimony. At that point, we're deciding what the law is, okay? We're deciding you have, each side will have 15 minutes to argue their case, to argue their briefs, their points of law, and then the justices, we all go back into a room and discuss the case and decide the case from there.
Does it get pretty heated in that room at times?
Not really. We have some very healthy debates. Honestly, it's interesting. I'm blessed to be surrounded by some really brilliant and great colleagues. We all take the job very seriously, our oaths very seriously. A lot of times, we might agree on how the case should end up, but maybe we have disagreements on how to get there. Which statute we're talking about or amendment we're talking about. So, but we get along great at the end of the day, and I think we do a good job of, at the end of the day, getting things right.
Well, I think it's good that you have healthy debate, because when you have people just 100% agreeing all the time, that's not always necessarily a good thing.
Right. And that's one of the things I get frustrated about is right now, there are 7 justices on the Ohio Supreme Court. 6, including myself, are Republican, and then there's 1 Democrat, Justice Jennifer Bruner. So you hear some criticism sometimes, especially in the media and some folks that talk about this 6-1 Republican court. But if you actually look at our decisions, they're not all 6-1 decisions. We have a healthy debate. There are times when maybe it's a 4-3 decision or a 5-2, because again, not most of our cases, there are substantial legal issues, complicated issues that we have to work through. It's not the political hotbed that people think it is and make it out to be.
So what's? Go ahead.
I was going to say, if I get a word, sorry.
I'm bad about that. Sorry.
We're talking, like when you say something here, she gets jumping in. But I saw stuff in the news last few months where some appellate judges from different states, Supreme Courts or whatnot, were blocking things that Trump was doing. So, and if you don't really know what you're kind of listening to, sometimes the media makes it confusing, or the media makes it difficult to understand. And how could an appellate judge possibly even consider writing something to block a president?
Well, they're not just blocking what he's doing. They're actually, some of them are going against what the United States Supreme Court has said.
Right.
And they're just poo-pooing like the Supreme Court didn't even do anything about it.
So as an appellate judge, I don't know. I'm not saying that, trying to talk bad about people, but what is it possibly about an appellate judge such as yourself who could say, well, I'm going to do something that's going to block a president from executing something?
Right. So unfortunately, we've been seeing this a lot since President Trump took office. It's on the federal court level, federal judge level. A lot of federal district judges issuing nationwide injunctions, which is something that really is traditionally not what an injunction is about. An injunction is generally supposed to just involve the individual parties on a case, but you have some district court judges implementing these nationwide bans, which also it frustrates the administration of justice and the executive's ability to do the job that he was elected to do. Ultimately, these cases make their way up to the United States Supreme Court, and so far, the U.S. Supreme Court has, I think, handled it as best they could when getting in these cases. They've shot down some of these nationwide injunctions, recognizing that, look, we have a separation of powers in our country. The executive, Donald Trump, president, was elected by the voters and entrusted to carry out things that the Constitution demands the executive does. And the judicial branch is not meant to write laws or tell the executive how to conduct foreign affairs or anything like that. And it can be frustrating, I think, to the executive branch. But at the end of the day, you hope and trust, at least on the federal level, our United States Supreme Court will get it right. Now, at the state level, we have some state judges that, file decisions or what have you, and you let the process play out, and ultimately the case gets to us, and we'll base our decisions on the law, the Constitution, and make sure that we're not making law, we're not legislating from the bench, so to speak. Our job is just to say what the law is, and if you don't like the law, it's up to the legislature to change it, right? That's how our system's supposed to work.
So with these federal, they're appointed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which mean, is it a lifelong appointment, or is it the will of the sitting president?
Yeah, so federal judges are appointed by the president, advice and consent of the Senate, and they're lifetime appointments. So the judges who were appointed by President Biden on his way out the door, some of them are the ones that are issuing these nationwide injunctions. They're going to be there for life, and or unless they retire or resign and to go on to other work
or get impeached, which is nearly impossible.
Yeah, it is. So it's a lifetime appointment, which is why it's important to make sure that here in Ohio we elect good judges who are going to follow law and Constitution, and at the national level we elect presidents who are going to appoint those type of judges who will adhere to the Constitution and recognize the importance of our separation of powers.
Well, maybe that's something that I don't know if it's in the Constitution or not, that maybe lifelong appointments is not such a good idea.
I mean, the idea is you don't want judges on the federal level to be swayed by politics, right? I think that's always, that was probably the thinking. I'll leave that up to my friends on the federal level to deal with that. At least in Ohio, we elect our judges. I like our system. It provides accountability to the voters. I do my best to follow laws that's written and to follow my oath. I hope that I've done a good job so far, and the voters will, appreciate that and send me back to the Supreme Court next year. That's all I can ask for. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep working hard every day for citizens of Ohio.
You know what I wish? I've tried reading some of the opinions that justices. I really wish they'd write it for dummies.
Yeah,
because I'm not a lawyer, and trying to read some of those opinions, there's these long, 50-letter words, and it's really hard to understand. So when you're writing your opinions, keep that in mind.
I try my best. Sometimes we deal with very complicated issues, especially when you're parsing words in a statute, and you have to base your decisions on prior case law, and it can get complicated. I try my best, in my opinions, to write it so not only lawyers understand, but normal everyday Ohioans can understand.
Yeah, because
it can be hard sometimes, but I do strive for that as best I can.
Kind of a silly question, but I hope that, not to say that you would, but would anybody be using ChatGPT to write something like that?
It's funny. I've heard of there have been a couple articles I've read where either attorneys or even I saw where a federal judge at one point had to pull back or revoke one of his opinions because it was clearly written with ChatGPT, and it apparently was all wrong and had cited some cases that didn't even exist. So, I'm a young guy and I'm pretty tech savvy, but I'll admit I don't mess with it because I don't really understand it. I don't, but I've heard of that being an issue, and it's something that I know the bar at the state and federal level are trying to deal with. It sounds like it could be a helpful tool, but it's still not 100% accurate.
I've heard it's also being used for like research.
Yeah,
like paralegals and whatnot will actually use it for research, and it is also quoting weird cases that never existed or things like that. And I'm just wondering how prolific that is and your level.
That it's a tool. So
you better double check your work.
Exactly. I used to have a boss who used to say check, 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 and triple check.
Yeah.
So if anybody would like to help you with your campaign, how can they do so?
So yeah. First of all, I mean, the easiest thing to do is, you could follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter. I'm told I'm on Instagram. I don't really know Instagram, but my campaign team has me on Instagram.
What you post on Facebook will flow to your Instagram.
See, that helps me immensely.
Yeah.
So, follow me.
It's the Insta part of Instagram.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, Justice Dan Hawkins on social media. My website, I don't know if it's gone live yet because judicial campaigns are a little different. When my petitions are filed and everything, I'll have the website up. Like, we can't even raise money right now.
Right.
Judges only raise money when during certain periods of time, and that window hasn't opened up yet for me. So I'm just trying to get out there and maintain my presence in the community, keep meeting voters. But in the meantime, folks are free to follow me on social media, Justice Dan Hawkins. And follow me along. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And
when are your petitions due?
With everybody else in February.
In February?
Yeah, and we'll probably start getting those circulating next month.
All right. Well, let us know so we can send people. Have an event and send people to sign.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
How many signatures do you need, and from how many counties?
So we need 1,000. Doesn't matter what county, just 1,000. But last year I think you're allowed to turn in, I think, double of that. I think we turned in about 20.
Well, you should get double, just in case you have
there is a maximum
bad signatures. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get there. But I think meeting with the campaign team to finalize all that paperwork and probably start with those in September.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you much. Thank you.
It's killing me because I've known you for a few years now, and I've always before you ran for Supreme Court, I would ask your opinions on things because you're just so freaking smart, and I respect your legal brain. And there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but I can't because it could be something that could come before you. So that has been hard for me. I hope you know, but I respect it. I don't want to put you in that kind of position.
Not just you, a lot of folks as well. Family even has that issue.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that we don't. That when we base our decision, we base it on the record and the case that's in front of us in court.
And the Constitution.
And that we're not in the Constitution and our oath, and that we're not going to have any preconceived notions or ideas going into the case. So.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know it's been a long day.
Yeah.
And
great day.
We'll look forward to having you on again during your campaign next year.
Yep.
So.
You're more than welcome to come out. So you're right there in Columbus. So we're in Hilliard.
Absolutely, and thank you for what you do. I mean, this is
thank you.
To be able to have us and folks like us reach out to Ohioans. It's important, and it's something that I look forward to keep doing.
We got to get the message out.
Indeed.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Justice Dan Hawkins. Thank you for joining us. This has been Straight Shot Politics.